October the 9th, 2018. I know I've been missing for about a week and a half, but listen, I finally ready to come back today. Welcome to the Third Down Show. Actually, on the East Coast is October the 10th, so a lot of y'all probably gonna hear this tomorrow, hopefully. On that note, listen, I'm not even gonna talk about college football today because I've been gone for so long, so we're gonna do things not normal for once. So all I'm going to talk about today is pretty much what happened over the weekend with the NFL. I wanted to wait till after the Monday night game, especially after Drew Brees broke the record, to really talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it on Monday. I wanted to wait till after the Monday night game. I know it's just keeping you on sports news. My Yanks, unfortunately, have been eliminated. The Red Sox will move on and play the Astros in the ALCS, but I don't really want to talk about too much of that as well. I want to just talk about the first quarter of football and the early stages of the second quarter of football today. I think there's a lot that we can take for the first quarter, going into the second, and going into the second half of the season is something that I want to stress about on this afternoon or night or early morning or wherever time you're going to listen to it. So welcome back to the Third Down Show. I am your host, T. Wayne. And I keep the music playing because let's go straight to it. The segment I'm going to today will be Studs and Duds. Studs and Duds after week 5 of the season. I tell you what, I am impressed with at least 4 teams. I will throw the Saints in there, how the Saints has bounced back from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1, but let's talk about my 3 studs I had down before the Saints game on yesterday. 3 studs I had would be the Cincinnati Bengals that find themselves at 3-1. The Carolina Panthers find themselves at 3-1. And also the Kansas City Chiefs find themselves at 5-0. My duds so far will have to be the Tennessee Titans, even though they are the division leaders, but they haven't really been impressing me well when they come down to games itself. So they at 3-2. Jacksonville, who's kind of been up and down the last couple of weeks, I will throw him as a dud so far in week 5. Blake Bortles, who threw 4 interceptions in this ball game. The defense gave up 30 points. That's not Jacksonville-like. Well, I don't think injuries starting to pile up a little bit for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm not going to write them off. I think they definitely can bounce back. But the true duds of week 5 has to be the Giants. The Giants been struggling. They had an impressive drive to end the game on Sunday, but Carolina Graham Gano wound up kicking that 63-yard field goal that kind of ended the Giants' chances to go 2-3. Now they find themselves at 1-4. Packers 2-1. Mason Crosby missed 11 points on Sunday. He missed 5 field goals in the game. It kind of hurt the Green Bay Packers. Right now, Green Bay trying to find some answers going forward. And yes, the biggest dud to me this season, and we're going to talk about all my studs and my duds, would definitely be the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons find themselves at 1-4 right now. They found themselves dead last in the division. Ever since they lost that Saint game back in week 3, they haven't found an answer since. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals and they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers this past weekend. And one of my teams that I think that's kind of overrated, 2 back-to-back weeks, they defensively back-to-back weeks gave up 31 points to, I can understand the Minnesota Vikings because what they have at receiver, but they gave up to a team that don't have no offensive line. That would be the LA Rams. They find themselves undefeated at this point in time, but at the same time, how good is LA? LA starting. I thought that defense would be a lot better, a lot stronger than what they are, but they're not. So let's go back to my studs. Kansas City 5-0. They go on this weekend. They play New England Pacers in New England. Now, to me, this could be a signature win because you would take down the 2 alpha males in the AFC, who's the 2 teams who people who thought would see in the AFC Championship game last year, and potentially we could see this year again. Now, if you can go to New England, you went to Pittsburgh, you beat Pittsburgh week 2. You go to New England, and you can beat Tom Brady and really and truly the Patriots, who really haven't been playing their best football. This is a signature win. Now, this is my only problem with Kansas City. We've been seeing this for the last maybe about 3-4 seasons. They have these hot starts, but what's going to happen when you truly get in the heart of the second quarter of the season and get into the beginning of the third to get into December, the end of the year? That's my biggest concern about the Kansas City Chiefs, because I don't know how long they can keep this heat up. Right now you telling me, and all in actuality, if you give me the Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Rams in the Super Bowl, that's a hell of a Super Bowl. Very, very great Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes trying to bring Kansas City an NBA title. NFL title, NFL Super Bowl. Kansas City haven't had a championship since the Royals a few years ago. So, bring some life into this city. Technically, that could be a battle, low-key battle of Missouri. I know there's still probably a lot of Rams fans that's in St. Louis. So I don't know what can happen in the next couple of weeks when it comes down to the Kansas City Chiefs, but they can find themselves a way to win in New England. I'm going to start Pat Mahomes this week. That was the best defense in football he played this past week. They found a way to beat New England this week. I like their chances going forward, but because remember, they went there week one. Remember, Kareem Hunt fumbled on the first possession. He haven't fumbled when he was in college. He came back. He had a hell of a performance to finish that game. Remember, Eric Berry got hurt in that game. I like what their possibility, their chances can be in the next couple of weeks in these environments. They're setting themselves up to potentially be a championship team. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, I put them as a stud because they are on pace with the New Orleans Saints, and I like where they're at right now. I think they're playing some good football. I think they are hungry. I think they are a football team that was pretty much embarrassed last year, losing to the Saints 3 times. The first time Cam threw 3 picks, and then they came to the Superdome twice in the months of December. They came between December and January, and they couldn't never get the job done. So I'm very, 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 very really want to see what's going to happen with the Carolina Panthers. Can they keep the same energy up? Now they still, even with the Saints being on bye this week, they will still find themselves behind the sticks because the Saints will still be the division leader going into week 7 with the Baltimore Ravens. But at the same time, I want to see if Carolina going to keep this energy up. I want to see if they're going to keep this vibe up. That's what I'm looking for to see with the Carolina Panthers. And the Cincinnati Bengals, don't look now, but the AFC North is kind of open. Now, granted, Pittsburgh won. They found themselves at 2-1. But Cleveland found themselves at 2-1. And Baltimore loses to Cleveland. So Cincinnati, to me, this is the perfect time. I think they're in the right spot at the right time, being at 3-1, to try to make some noise in the AFC North and in the AFC division, the conference itself. I like where Cincinnati is at. I'm thinking that once again, this is Marvin Lewis. To me, this is going to be Marvin Lewis make or break year. I think we all kind of tired of seeing this man not win playoff games. Now, if he gets to the playoffs this year, he got to at least go to the conference championship, if you ask me. And that's not going to do it. Get the hell out of there unless we start this program. There's too much talent over there in Cincinnati for this team not to be winning playoff games. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just keeping it real. There's too much talent in Cincinnati not to be winning playoff games. Now, let's talk about my duds. Now, really and truly, not too much to talk about the duds. Like I said, I talked about Tennessee. I think Tennessee haven't really been impressing me with games. They've been winning 10-12 games, 11-12 games. They did lose to the Buffalo Bills this past weekend. I'm not too impressed with them. Jacksonville, I'm only concerned, put them as a dud like I said, because Blake Bortles haven't shown that he can win the big games when it's necessary. Can't make the big plays. Now, he had that hell of a performance against the New England Patriots, but defensively, New England really is not that good. And just having the great defense that they have on the other side of the ball makes up for it. Can't win in Kansas City. Couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans. So, I'm kind of concerned to a degree. I'm real life concerned. And I'm concerned to see, how Jacksonville going to respond. I believe they play the Cowboys this week. Another struggling team trying to find their way as well after losing to the Houston Texans this past weekend on Sunday Night Football. So I'm concerned. I could throw the Cowboys as a dud as well. I could throw the whole NFC East as a dud. Even though Washington probably still leading the division. That's a whole division right now is back to their old ways of just sucking a game. You know what I'm saying? Packers, once again, I'm concerned with them because, 2-1, Mason Crosby missed a field goal. Minnesota starting to find a rhythm after going to get that win this past weekend in Philadelphia. And then you still got the Bears, who's really, really impressing everybody, who's at 3-1 at the top of the division right now. All in all, if they find a way to finish that Week 1 game, they might be 4-0 right now. One of the teams that's still undefeated. But now, talk about the Bears another day. The Packers got some work to do, I think. They got to find, they lost to the Lions this weekend. They put the Lions in the thick of things. That's another division that's in the hunt. Even though Chicago's at 3-1, how long can Chicago continue to keep this same smoke up? That's what I want to know about the Chicago Bears going forward for the rest of the year. And the Giants, like I said, 1-4, look like they have a lot of diva problems, coming with Odell, coming with Sterling Shepard, coming with Eli Manning. They let go Eric Flowers today because Eric Flowers just not doing the job for them. I mean, they got a lot of things right now for the New York Giants where they got some answers. They got some questions that need to be answered. And I don't know if they're going to have the answers for this season this year. I don't know. I mean, Odell finally got in the end zone. It's funny that Julio Jones haven't found the end zone yet. Odell just found the end zone in Week 5. Drew Brees haven't thrown an interception yet through 5 weeks of the season. That's crazy. They ain't going to go on by. So technically, 6 weeks of the season, Drew Brees haven't threw an interception, technically. But playing season, he ain't threw an interception through 5 weeks of the season yet. So I don't know how much is left of some of these teams. And let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, the Falcons, I think out of all of these teams, I think they are the only ones I think who could really turn the season back around just because they are the Atlanta Falcons. I think they have enough talent offensively, and it shows every game. Besides this past game, they just couldn't score. But Calvin Ridley, Naman Sanu, Austin Hooper, I think that's his name, the tight end. Devontae Freeman, he's not healthy. You could tell. He's not running the way that he should run. So, I mean, you got Tevin Coleman. I think they was talking about Philadelphia trying to make a trade. I think they believe they signed Jamal Charles today. They was talking about should they make a run, should Philadelphia make a trade with Atlanta, maybe get Tevin Coleman to Philadelphia Eagles because Jay Ajayi is out. So, I don't know. I like Tevin Coleman. To me, Tevin Coleman been the better runner this year. Even maybe if you ask me, I think he's been the better runner, the more physical runner than Devontae Freeman for a while now. That kind of leaves an attitude for that offense to help out Matt Ryan, help out the passing game and everything like that. But if they could turn it around, I don't know if they make the playoffs. But if they can at least turn their season to at least finish 9-7, maybe they get some momentum for next year. Like, okay, we did go through adversity, but we still had a winning season. We just didn't make it to the playoffs, and let's just see what we can do next year. But it's still early, but it's almost semi-panic mode now for the Atlanta Falcons. They take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers who trying to find their groove back. They was at one point, they was at the top of the division for 3 solid weeks, and all of a sudden now, look, the team that they beat Week 1 is not at the top of the division. Tampa Bay got something to prove, especially with Carolina on the verge. They want to stay in the verge with the Carolina Panthers and the Saints. So I don't know if they're going to let this one slide. I want to see if Jameis Winston going to come out and he's going to start letting it rip. Especially how bad right now Atlanta's defense is playing. It's not looking too good for the Atlanta Falcons. It's not. It's not looking too good for the Atlanta Falcons, if you ask me. So those are my studs. Those are my duds. I'm going to try to do that every week going forward for the next couple of weeks because I really think that's very important to break down the ones that's doing well and the ones that's not doing well as well, right? So on that note, when y'all hear this one, y'all already know it's time to